Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee. Alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Autos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show.
Woo.
Get in there.
Still amped up.
Let's
Joe,
go.
After even a
Playoffs.
short football weekend. But
Playoffs.
that's right. Hey,
and there's a lot of...
weekend
Hey, I got to say, Jim, the playoffs for this year have been nothing but spectacular.
Yes.
Because a lot of things happened that we didn't foresee, and a lot of and in some games were so back and forth that they were like, it was like tennis. You know, you scored, I scored. You scored, I scored. It was an impressive playoff performance so far, and now we get to the championship games. That's got to be exciting. Welcome, everybody, if you're just tuning in. Thank you for joining us. If you would do us a huge favor, if you haven't done so already, we would really, really appreciate it. If you could head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well to let you know when we go live. And, of course, you can follow us and bring us along wherever your day may take you. Join our podcast anywhere you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. Hit the follow, bring us along, share it with your friends. Tell them, hey, look it. This is how I'm in the know with Jim and Joe. These guys know their stuff. Follow them. Go to YouTube. Subscribe. Share, like, all that crap.
All that crap. That's right, Joe. And yeah, it was a crazy weekend. A lot of fun. You know,
big news,
kudos to
Jim.
everybody out there. Big news out there. Yep. Jim Harbaugh does find a home.
The other Jim.
Yeah, the other Jim that you should know about. There he is. That's right. He's going to be hired now by the Los Angeles Chargers. You know, there was speculation about it overall, you know, since the offseason, since, you know, there's been speculation about a new head coach, you know, and Brandon Staley being fired. So there he is here in L.A., Joe.
Yes.
It's a big deal here, and it's very good for the Chargers, big for the organization. It's an interesting thing, though, for them altogether as well, though, because I know he's brought there to kind of, you know, hone in Justin Herbert here, too. Justin Herbert on a down year, but I also had, you know, a broken thumb here and there. And
He's
stuff,
a good, listen, Jim Harbaugh in his day, he started off as a quarterback's coach. So, he's played quarterback in the league. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. He has a full understanding, and I feel like he's going to do a really good job with Herbert in terms of coaching him up. One thing that I want to kind of reel back on is I know there's a lot of hype with Jim Harbaugh, and rightfully so, because he's the biggest name that was out there for a head coach. Chargers ended up grabbing him. Great, cool. Jim Harbaugh hasn't been in this league for quite some time. He's been in college, doing his thing in college football. I wonder how quickly he can get right back in line with the NFL mindset of the day-to-day operations and how he's going to run this team and going forward, what tough decisions he might have to make. So for Harbaugh, and it's a great hire. I think it's a great hire. And I'm saying this not just because it's the Chargers, but I would say this even if he ended up being the Raiders head coach. There's one thing that I'm a little concerned with is how heavy of a run attack that he does have on offense. Not to say that he will do that in the NFL, but I'm just saying, you know, long habits, they die hard. So, and my thing with that is, when you're facing these, I mean, D coordinators got super smart by now. Like, since the last time he's been in the league, the defensive coordinator's advancement is crazy. Like, all the coaches now, like, they really, really understand how to attack every single offensive output. And obviously personnel factors into that too. But so for Harbaugh, I want to see him evolve as an NFL coach. It's been quite some time. Let's see if he can do it with the LA Chargers.
All right, yeah. I don't think that's going to be that big of a problem here. But Mike Tackett, here he is. He's in the house. He says, Good luck to Jim Harbaugh. Rip to Michigan and their soon-to-be sanction-filled transfer out
Field program.
Field program. That's right. So, yeah. What
The biggest-
Mike Tackett is
yeah.
angry, but then also happy at the same time.
Yeah, he said, Mike Tackett said the biggest hindrance for the Chargers for years and years has been staying healthy.
Yes.
If Herbert and company can stay healthy, they'll go far. And we'll see, because they can't do it.
Yeah, you're right.
They haven't been. None of their
Haven't
play.
been able
Okay,
to. Yeah,
they've
That's
managed
that
to
should be
do-
the bigger news. Not even Jim Harbaugh. It's like
right.
here's their new health
Yeah.
people that they have. They're physical
Where's-
trainers. Here
yes.
we are.
Where's
They
the
got the
health
best.
staff?
No,
Where is
yes.
the new health staff? That's what I'm
Yes.
excited
Yes.
about. Who's my
It's like Dr. Oz, and everybody
just-
like, we got the top
They just hired
physicians in the world.
The Rock to be their physical trainer. Everybody lose their minds. But no, I mean, all kidding aside, I think it's a good hire. We'll have to wait and see how this all transpires for them. And from what I hear, it's a 5-year deal, and it is extremely lucrative of a deal.
Yes.
So they're going to be paying this guy a ton of money, and we kind of knew that was going to happen no matter where he went. The contract was going to be big. We just don't know the specifics just yet. But man, we'll probably have to talk about it next week just to see what he ended up signing for.
Yeah, and then I heard too also he had received an offer from Michigan to make him the highest paid college football coach of all time.
Yeah.
And turned that down. So, it had to be.
You want to
good,
know
but-
why? Is because he's really concerned about that still, looming investigation that's going on. And that's why, like in Michigan, like he wanted, if he was going to come back, he wanted a guarantee from the school that he wasn't going to have to suffer any penalties, any suspensions, anything like that was going to hold him accountable. And obviously the school can't guarantee that. So it made the decision a lot easier to just go to the NFL instead of risking it and going back to Michigan.
Yeah, but I also, on that note, I heard that he is not safe from discipline from the NCAA, even
Still?
though, if he gets into the NFL. Yes.
So what
that's
can
I
they
heard.
do? Well,
I don't know.
Is, what can they do?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's it's entwined with the NFL that they can even.
They can't.
He can miss games with that. But from what I'm hearing from Ian Rappaport, says he is not safe, even though he thought it was an escape to get out of it. He's not safe from sanctions.
Yeah.
So. Or from things. So what could it be? If then
It can't
fines then maybe
it can't be anything with the NFL at all. They can't suspend him.
Yeah. So
Like
I don't
that
know.
can't
so
happen.
what discipline
What are
will
you
it
gonna
be
do?
then? So I don't know.
Yeah, here.
Or
I got-
vacate wins, then he don't care then anymore.
Listen,
It's already been done. So
I got 130 million or something like that in my contract. Oh, we're gonna take 30 of it. Okay, big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing you
just
can do is
interested to
civil.
see what that is.
That's it. You can't say, oh well, guess what? You're not allowed to coach. Bottom line, no, you can't do that. He moved on. He's not with college football now. Now he's in the NFL officially. So really, it's got to be just a monetary thing that they could go after him for, just cash, like just money.
All right.
Or some kind of
All right,
fine.
we've got somebody else in the chat.
Debo, where's Derek? Derek Debo Tuzen, 49er fan, chiming in here. He goes, I have a question. Why does Brock Purdy get so beat up in the media? The kid is doing great. One bad game and he's a bum, but he still won. How do you guys feel about it? And I'll start off. I'll just tell you, Derek, that I think it's one of those things now with media where I feel like it's that knee-jerk reaction. It's that overreaction that people respond to, and because of the great hype that is surrounded by the overreaction that is being reported. Oh, like one bad game, and everybody wanted to run Josh Allen out of Buffalo because he had he strung a couple 2 or 3 games together where he didn't look that good. They're like, oh, he's terrible. We shouldn't have took him. This, that, and the other thing. Same thing is happening with the 49ers. The same thing happens everywhere. Is people like to overreact, especially the media. They're like the mass media. They love to get reactions out of fans. That's what it is. They like to drive up those numbers and everything. You keep clicking on their articles because the title reads, should Niners move on for Purdy? Wait, what do you mean? Click. You're sucked in. I'm not saying you, Derek, specifically. I'm just saying fans in general. They just lose their minds and they react to it so quickly that they don't really think about it. Like, oh, this guy's just trying to get me all stirred up. I know my quarterback. I know my team. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I ain't going to bother with him. I ain't going to waste my time with him. That's what I think. I think the media just likes to play tricks on fans and get reactions from fans, whether it be positive or negative, because it's a hot take thing. You know, unless you have some kind of backup information that you're going off of, that you've kind of been able to pull out of somebody within the organization or something, where you might know something, you can't say who and you can't say what, but this is, give me a few reasons why, So then he goes, facts, but this kid, I lost it.
Sorry.
Facts, but this kid is in the second year. Yeah, he's in the second year, and that's the crazy thing. That's all it is. It's just everybody. Listen, yeah, and it drives you crazy too, Derek. I understand, because as a fan, you're like, I watch this player every week. I watch him in games. He's killing it on the football field. He's brought us to the playoffs. He's done a miraculous job as a rookie, as a second-year player, and he's going to continue to do that beyond. So why are they questioning his performances? Why are they questioning? Everybody's entitled to a bad game. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers in his prime he's the beast. You know what I mean? At quarterback. But he's made some bad throws. He's made some terrible decisions and thrown a pick in a close game. Like, it's not the only time it's happened. It's not the good quarterbacks do screw up too. So that's why we love this game, because it's any given Sunday, baby.
Yeah, and I think it's a product of a few different things. One, the times, again, with clickbait and all that, like you're setting, even headlines, quick to pick you up and then tear you back down. We see it now with Jordan Love. Look, everybody loves Jordan Love now. Before the season, everybody would probably be quick enough to say he was trash. Now they're comparing him to Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think that's a good comparison.
Look at what they've done. And trying to put stats to it instantly. But the moment he has a bad game again, or it starts to be terrible, and they're like, well, reverting back to his old self again, it's just no good, and you see this time and time again. I mean, it's almost like what they do with Dak Prescott, constantly, and I think it's just even a response, or even to because, like I said before, I think a few weeks ago when we had said something similar to this, we lived in an era where we had even our Ben Roethlisberger, our Eli Mannings, our Phillip Rivers, our Tom Brady's, our Peyton Mannings were there too, and they've all won championships minus Phillip Rivers, but they've been so great for so long. And then how important the franchise quarterback is. Yeah. And like I said, now changing with the times and clickbait and internet, and so big to tear them up and tear them down, they want the storylines. How quick do you see storylines change? And
crazy.
Every guy out there, whether they call him analyst or even color commentator or not, Joe Buck's right there with the next stat that some douchebag in an office had already given him and lined right up with a reel to go right along with it. Yeah. But if all of a sudden the story was to end in the last seconds of the game, no worries. They had another reel that's going to go right back along with it too as well, to tell that story and paint that wonderful picture or tear that guy down. And that's just the way it is, like you said.
Right.
And like I said, it's a product, I think, of some of the greatness that we've had in our era, in the past 10, 20 years, and to the fact the way the world is right now, how people love to love you and they love to hate you too on top of it. And that's just the way it is. Because like I said, right now, even after that 49ers game, they're like, "Wow, you looked out there. How did you guys do it? Oh my goodness, Brock Purdy, I love you."
The other thing is the hot take thing has become more prevalent now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's all the overreactions that people react to, because like, oh, how could this guy think this, or why would they think that the Chiefs are going to beat the Ravens this week? You know what I mean? Like, some people might. They debate. That's why it's fun to talk sports, because there's always that debate and differing opinions and stuff like that. But with the media and their hot take articles or hot take podcasts, like things of that nature, I feel like it's making the fan bases dumber. Mm-hmm. It really is, for the people that believe everything that is spewed out there, all the intel and articles that are just kind of released, and people gobble it up like, oh, yeah, well, NBC said this and NFL Network said this, and they're just believing everything that's spewed out there. You gotta listen, unless you have some kind of proof or it's coming from a very, very reliable source. Mm-hmm. You can't believe it just because it's put out there on the internet. So.
All right, we've got a few different comments in there, too. No problem. Derek, by the way, thank you so much.
Appreciate the comment, bro.
All right, we've got, what do you got over there? Mike Tackett's got another long
Mike Tackett wrote a book.
He did.
So, everybody gather around, get comfortable.
50 Shades of Tackett. Here it comes.
The NFL is unlikely to make itself a safe harbor for Harbaugh. Ooh, I see what you did there. Nice little.
See, he's still on Harbaugh, man.
To escape what could be substantial NCAA discipline. League sources say, raising the strong possibility Harbaugh would need to serve some or all of any possible suspension he could face in college if he returns to the pros. There isn't a bylaw governing the matter, but sources pointed to former Ohio State head coach Jim Tressel as precedent for how the NFL and its teams could handle a college suspension of Harbaugh, who already served a school-imposed 3-game suspension this year. He continues and says, speaking of injuries, was Miami wrong for letting Vic Fangio go?
All right,
Question
two separate
mark.
things.
We'll pause right there and we'll answer that question. Apparently, from what I heard, is Vic Fangio and the Dolphins organization mutually parted ways. It seemed like Vic Fangio wanted to leave, and the Dolphins were just kind of okay with it. Letting him go, if the guy doesn't feel like coaching for your team, do you really want to try to keep him there? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, of course, they agreed to part ways, and that's that. Vic Fangio is a free agent yet again as a D coordinator, one of the best to ever do it, which is amazing because now he's free and clear. He can go talk to anyone he wants, and so far, it sounds like the Eagles have targeted him into becoming their new D coordinator. Nothing official yet, but it looks like that's where it's headed. Is Vic Fangio looks like he might be the Eagles' new D coordinator. What do you think, Jim, about the Fangio situation?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it was more of the long lines of, hey, this guy's got a lot around the league. He's respected and stuff, and we can't just go and just fire him once again. I say they talked to him. He was like, all right, I can understand that. And kind of just walked away. Maybe he might just be done with it. Again, he's one of the older guys too, as well. Been noted as a head coach too at times. Been hired as that, but then back to defensive coordinator. Maybe he's just tired too and just ready to just be kind of done with it after this.
I think he's
why not just be try and make that run with the Miami Dolphins, because you see that awesome offense. You just got to be fairly decent here on defense,
which they were,
and that's why I think the head scratcher here. I mean, they weren't. Top 10 in yards, 22nd in points against, but decent. Like I said, number one offense, so I'm with you. So I think he's trying to make that run, try and get a chip here with them. But hey, if it ain't going to work out,
the other part of that too is like they were decimated by injuries on the defensive side.
Yeah, and they fought hard.
For Vic Fangio to do what he did on defense, and for that defense to come together as much as it did in the playoffs, like they were missing Xavier Howard for the playoffs. They didn't have him. They didn't have several guys on that defensive side. So for him to accomplish what he could, I think it was pretty admirable. And for Vic, like, why would you want to not continue that? Like, this defense is pretty good. Now you add, like, maybe a piece or two and come back next year with the same guys, and sky's the limit. Like, I don't understand. From Vic's perspective, I don't understand why he's like, well, I really kind of I want to leave. Like, I'm good. And then here's the thing is, like, Jim, you mentioned, like, maybe retirement is a possibility. Of course it is. He's up there in age. He doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. He's won Super Bowls. Like, now it sounds like he's most likely going to take that Eagles job and ride the coattails of the Eagles and maybe try to. But here's the thing, Jim. You're going from the AFC, was pretty dominant against NFC teams, and now you're going to the NFC. So I don't know.
It's going to be tougher. Yeah, when you go do that. Yeah, absolutely. I hear you there. But yeah, I mean, it's something different with a bunch of these are head scratchers, and we're going to get to a bunch of different.
I'm going to punch
there,
Mike.
So, what's he got? What's he got now?
He says, "But what does Taylor Swift think?" Oh, jeez.
Oh man, yeah. And what's funny too is, like my son even said, he's like, it would have been great if all of a sudden they hired Taylor Swift to do the Super Bowl halftime show, and then all of a sudden I'm like, No,
We
you know what I
said
mean?
that
Was
could
enough?
happen.
Yeah, right.
It's like, remember
who
the
knows? I
Sunday
think she
night-
would snub it, but now that she's even in with Gronk now, maybe she sees it as an opportunity. Like, oh, maybe I would do it now.
No,
but I think
don't.
before she could care two shits about the NFL and football, dude.
No.
So,
No.
but imagine them try and sneak it in there, do a spotlight with Usher.
please
Though.
don't.
How about we
Oh,
get surprised with an
please-
Usher duet or
please
some shit?
don't.
Oh my gosh.
I've had enough. Like,
Shoot my eyes out. But anyways, but yeah, I think that's what we're all hoping for right now too, is the fact that they don't make it any further. I think we're all not Chiefs fans going forward from now on.
I never
for
was.
the rest. I know, but I'm just saying anybody anybody that wants something sacred in this league and in the Super Bowl, they don't want to see the Chiefs there again, and a lot of it solely because even Taylor Swift in this whole. But
yeah, I just wanted to see the Bills for once.
Yeah.
To beat the Chiefs.
it would have been nice. And then you want to
then,
talk about
listen,
even a little bit of a
they had
depleted
the game.
defense too, or they were there.
They had the
They
game.
had it. Yeah.
The whole first half, they were dominating the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Second half,
Change the game plan.
second half, the Chiefs changed their defensive alignments and stuff to like, you know what? We're not
Stop the
going
run.
to let them run up the middle anymore. We're going to stop that. And when the pressure got to Josh Allen, where it's like, okay, you got to make something happen. What kind of threw me off is that what he was doing in the first half, he didn't continue to do in the second half. Like when he was dropping back to pass and you didn't see anybody open, you use your legs. Why didn't you use your legs in the second half? Like that was one thing that they could never, contain. They had a hard time containing him, and he was very difficult out in the open too. Like, why did he just not run the ball with his? It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that to me right there was the Bills had a lot of chances to put that
Yeah.
game away. They really did. And then kickers are people too.
Yeah.
Guy got tons of
I
death
think
threats.
They
and
played that one though to try and not to win. Like they played that the last few sets of downs. Like, hey, all right, well we'll feel comfortable with getting this field goal instead of going for the kill shot. And
Well,
that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
they were calling passing plays, but
Yeah, I know some, but
Josh Allen had to take off. Like everybody was covered. There was definitely several plays where I'm like, dude, nobody's open at all. Like no one's open. So take off. Don't throw the ball
but
away.
the second down, I think that everybody wants to talk about is the one where he took that shot at the goal when you had Stephon Diggs wide open on a crossing route underneath that would have got you the first down at least, and maybe even into the end zone. And you still had a new set of downs there, and you set plenty of time. And you're playing to win.
You know
then
what's
it's
funny about
a
that?
literal chip shot. You talk about the one that they should have took, or that they took and they should have made. This one's even closer. That it's almost an extra point at this point.
So the throw that he made when he threw it off his back foot for the guy in the
end zone?
the back of the end zone, and it short hopped. He could have stepped into it. If he steps into it, it's a touchdown. And the fact that he didn't because there was
But
a
he didn't
edge
waver his eyes off that guy
because there was
for
an
the
edge
whole
rusher.
time.
Doesn't matter. He was wide open.
No, he wasn't. He was crossing in between the safety, just made it past the safety. Safety was hovering there.
If he steps into that, it's right there. It's a touchdown. But
Okay.
because he short hopped it didn't make the play because he didn't step into it. The problem is I know that he felt pressure from that edge rusher, and he didn't step up because of the pressure. You have to. You're in the playoffs. This is sudden death. Like take the hit, deliver the throw, and you could have been a hero. But because you just still stayed on your back foot, you're never going to make that throw with just your arm. I don't care how strong of an arm you have.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a big time bummer for all the Bills fans because their hypes were high and they should be because in the first half they were doing what they were doing and dominating. And then in the second half, you started to see it slip away. The Chiefs, came back, they tied it, then they went ahead, and then it's like, and then back and forth, and you had the ball to win it. Just make the plays.
All right, we've got a bunch of comments in here. What do we got?
Dennis says, rumor on the Bills page, he is meeting with them, not sure how real it could be.
Who's meeting with the who?
I don't know who's meeting. Doesn't say.
Oh.
Rumor
All
on
right.
Bill's page, he is meeting with them, not sure how real it could be. I don't know what the person is, and I don't know who's meeting
Somebody
who.
we brought in up in the last 10 minutes. So we already
before-
lost already.
he goes
Vic
before-
Fangio, probably. Vic Fangio.
Vic Fangio? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Yes. Ding, ding,
Yeah, but
ding.
they don't need it.
Okay.
Sean McDermott is the D coordinator. Like,
Yeah.
That doesn't really make a lot of sense.
All right. Now, what else does he say? Here?
Dennis said, before my old ass
Hits the sack.
hits the sack, my weeks and end picks, Lions by 3, Ravens by 10. And he just responded to something else
Yeah,
he said.
yeah, he said
He said Vic, yeah. So that confirms it. He was talking about Vic Fangio, and who knows? I mean, it could happen. It's in the division. Maybe they bring him along just as for like a – maybe they utilize him as a D coordinator, but Sean McDermott, that's kind of like his thing. So I don't know. Would he be willing to give up the play calling duties to hand it over to Vic? I mean, you can trust him, I guess, but it's going to be called differently. It's not going to be really the same. So when you have a different coach calling plays, expect some plays to be called differently. So he can't coach and run defense. Yes, he can. I have faith in him.
He did a good job despite having some injuries too of their own on that too.
I mean, think about it.
He did all right.
You brought it up about Matt Milano when he exited, how important that was. And it was one of the most important things because not only you lose your captain on the defense, but a guy that is just a flat-out great player. Like he really is.
Absolutely. And he's got his picks, and who knows, we're going to have our picks in a little bit too. But so he's saying Lions and Ravens. So I think a lot of people, I want to see that now too. I saw even a poll, I think on FanDuel or something like that too, where a lot of people going all heavy in on the Lions.
I would love to. Obviously, it's a great story if they happen to if they pull it off and they make the Super Bowl. You know how the stadium in Vegas would be filled with a lot of Lions fans. Like, they're going to do whatever they can to get there.
Yeah, and for me, I voiced this opinion earlier today. To me, it's like I would like it if the Lions did make it. I'm just at that point, though, what I've seen this year, though, that they scare me sometimes still, though, too, and what they're going to do. So, say they get there. They did all that work to get there when they just get to see the Ravens then and then just can't put out at all, and then all of a sudden it's a demolishing.
It happens.
You know what I mean? So, and that's sad, and nobody wants to see that, especially for the Super Bowl, especially non-fans. Like, oh man, it's a one-sided game. This game sucks.
Well, non-fans don't even watch the Super Bowl.
But
they have it on.
It would be disappointing to
they're
see.
They're eating hot dogs and nachos and stuff, not paying attention.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so yeah, Vic Fangio, he was parted ways. So he's another one that's out there. I think Antonio Pierce now here, that's cool for them and you guys. And then you also got Tom Telesco from
I don't know how I feel about
the Chargers, though. But I mean, what about Antonio or about the GM situation?
Telesco. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think as a GM, he's worked for them for 11 seasons?
11 seasons,
right?
yeah.
So I think they've gotten great personnel. But like you said, if they had, a good physical trainer or something like that, possibly, or something like that.
I don't think it's physical trainer.
I know it's a joke about it, but I think he's got the talent there. It's just they haven't been able to get there. So if he can do the same type of thing for you guys too, as well, and just keep delivering talent to you,
which he probably will,
it would be amazing. For
he probably will. I mean, for 11 seasons, he's managed to bolster that whole entire roster from top down with talent. And has done a great job in the draft. In drafting and finding talented players for even undrafted free agents, what have you. That part I'm not worried about. What I'm a little concerned about with Tom Telesco is how much was he involved with contracts? Because the Chargers are like $45 million over the cap now. And they decided to move on, obviously, from Tom and Staley, and rightfully so. But now you're $45 million over the cap. You're going to have to shed some fat somehow, whether it be cutting people, veterans. Like Khalil Mack is one of those guys that are potentially on the chop block because of his huge salary. Still balling out, by the way. But my thing is, how much was he involved with that part of being a GM? Was it mostly the people that he had in the front office handling the contract deals and not really him, or was he involved to the point where you could point the blame at him and say, dude, you did a great job drafting, great job adding talent, but what the fuck did you just fucked up our whole financials. Now we need to trim the roster and make some things happen. Come on. So that to me is my only concern. Other than that, he's a tremendous talent evaluator. Historically, he's done great in the draft. And he managed to bring in free agents, but we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I like the Pierce hiring. I love that. I think if Mark Davis, I got a feeling if Mark Davis didn't hire Antonio Pierce and give him a shot, that there was going to be, fire and pitchforks at his house.
Yeah.
He was going to face a lot of scrutiny.
And a lot of players went to bat for him too as well. So I mean,
as far as Max Crosby saying, you know what, I might have to consider being traded if you don't hire Pierce.
There you go. Absolutely. So yeah, I think that was nice for them too, and we'll see moving forward. And you brought about the Eagles too, and Sirianni was just at a press conference too, and discussing what's going on with his team. Again, Brian Johnson let go. Sean Desai, Matt. Patricia not there too as well. So again, offense and defensive sides of the ball, getting in some new coaching blood in there.
Yeah.
And how much will this affect them too? Because he even brought up the fact, I need something different. So even play calls, like you've said even before, Sirianni, you move on from, Steichen or whatever, but it's still Sirianni's type of offense stuff. He's basically saying, hey, I want somebody to bring in their thing and do your thing, and then whatever that might be, we'll roll with it, whatever it happens to be. We just need something different here. But I think the difference, what happened, though, this season was they did kind of make a change. With Brian Johnson, no matter what, whether he's in the organization or not, they really did, I think, try and stop Jalen Hurts from really doing a lot more pistol and read option formations and things like that.
You noticed
took that element out of their offense,
which you can't, because the Bills the Bills tried to do the same thing. The Bills early on, that's why they made a change at offensive coordinator and brought Joe Brady was already on the staff. Luckily, already has offensive coordinator experience. Came in and said, you know what? We're not going to limit Josh Allen in his running ability. We're going to utilize that. And that's kind of really what turned that offense around late in the season and made the playoffs. So great job by Joe Brady. The Bills recognizing that, making a change right away. And with the Eagles, you didn't see, like, Brian Johnson got fired from the Eagles in was it today or yesterday? So they're cleaning the house. Now, here's the funny thing is when you see this happen, the head coach stays in place, because remember, there was question marks about his job. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? I personally didn't think he was going to go anywhere, because, I mean, when you have a 12-win team and you make it to the playoffs, you can't fire the head coach. So the blame has to go somewhere, because why did you guys struggle? Well, he was the offensive coordinator this year, and he was the defensive coordinator this year. Boom, those guys are fired, gone. It's time to bring in new blood. And as far as the offense goes, I don't really think it's going to change. What's going to change is obviously who's going to be calling the plays. And that's where Sirianni is going to look for a good relationship, someone that understands the offense he's trying to run and probably has more experience. So if they bring someone in like that, I feel like the offense will kind of get right back into the fold, and likewise on defense.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny with this whole thing with the Eagles, because I thought Sirianni was just kind of a shell there, a face, and not that involved in that. The players weren't that into him as much. He's more talent-driven on this team than Sirianni driving the team. And then they made that Super Bowl run. But now, after this season, I'm kind of leaning back towards that. Because, again, you change up a little bit of personnel on defense, you lose your offensive coordinator, and what was the problem with the team at the end? They were a disarray. It didn't seem like they're slumping. And it's his job as a head coach to gather everybody around, get them motivated to play every week, and he couldn't get it back together. And that's on him. I don't think it's on his coordinators. I don't think it's on exactly the full scheme of what you're doing or your defensive scheme. It's on him. So I think if they go in this next season after making this change with the coordinators, I think even he's going to be in question. And it's kind of funny and sad that he brought the team, this far again, and even with the records that they had, to where they would discuss possibly letting him go. But this is what this league is like, though, now, too. We even had, Mike McCarthy, all of a sudden his job was in jeopardy at one point or whatever.
I thought that was hilarious.
With 2 12-win seasons. So nobody's safe, I guess. But I don't know. I just can see it kind of, going back to my point of view there. I could be wrong, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, the players absolutely love Sirianni. Like, reports out of Philly is that there's no loss of backing with the players. They absolutely love him. They'd run through a wall for him. That's what I'm hearing from Philly, is that they have his full support. for Sirianni in general, I feel like he was questioned for obviously because the offense was struggling all season. And they're like, well, you're the head coach, but you're also the offensive brains of this too. It's your offense. You have someone else calling it. Maybe you should take the play calling duties back. Maybe you should start calling every single play call like he did when he first started. When he was a rookie head coach, he came in, and I had my doubts about this guy. I really did. I was like, dude, I don't like this hiring for the Eagles. I don't know if this guy's going to be able to pan out. And he proved me wrong. He actually did a pretty good job. But that was when he was calling plays. Then he brought in, like, you know, they had someone already on the staff like Brian Johnson and what have you, and now they're calling the plays. They're calling his offense. Something tells me that if he was calling it, it might be a little bit different. It might look a little bit different like it did for his first year, where he was utilizing Hurts's legs and what have you. So I think in a sense, he might have to just take the play calling duties back for next season. To be like, this is how it has to be done. I got to do it. I have to do it because it's the only way we're successful. Yeah, it's fine to bring in an OC to help him with the game planning week to week and all that. But I think he has to take it back, own it, because that's what made him good when he first started there. So, and the defense, obviously, like, you're going to let that go to whoever you hire, Vic Fangio or whoever it is, and you should be confident in that. So I think if the Eagles make a couple of, smart moves in terms of their coordinators, I feel like in Sirianni, I would like to see him take it back. I'd like to see him make all the play calls himself. Because that's kind of like where it started, is with him. Why not take the play calls back? I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of work to be a head coach and a coordinator, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and also some of the firings now. Joe Barry fired here as the defensive coordinator here for the Packers, but I don't know. I thought they did fairly good. They were a top 10 defense, and I think they kept them in the games a lot of times, when they weren't even expected to make it as far as they did. You know what I mean? And I thought that defense was decent, especially in the playoffs. Moving forward, they had a couple of bad weeks where they gave up big plays on the run game, namely to the Panthers and then the Bucs, which doesn't look very good. But the Bucs made it to the playoffs even too, so that's not big of a deal. And they were running though in the playoffs though too. So I mean, we've seen this happen before. So I don't think that I don't know. I can understand they want to make some changes, but I also say kind of be careful of what you're wishing for right now, because I think you kind of prematurely made it to the playoffs here, and now you're going to do something different here on the defense, where I think Joe Barry, I wouldn't mind him here for the Giants, to start over for them, minus Wink, and do something. If he can inspire these guys like he did with those guys there, I think it would be a good hiring here. Anybody that even let go. If you look at Brian Johnson here, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Kafka was gone, that we could get Brian Johnson even there too, because you see that a lot of times with rival teams will grab that other rivals, coordinators or whatever too, and things like that.
Coaches,
because they've also been able to seed them. Kafka's still like going the tour and like doing head coaching interviews. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah.
After with multiple back-to-back seasons of 30 like ranked offenses, what in your mind says that's brilliance? I want that as a head coach. And that even says that, hey, we want to keep you around. Wink? Yeah, whatever, man. Mike, come on here, buddy. You're never going, buddy. We love you. You could go look elsewhere and try and get a head coach somewhere else. Why not? We'll give you that. Yeah. But come on back. No problem.
Yeah,
Are you out of your freaking mind?
Well, you know what? There's things that we don't know that we're not privy to behind closed doors.
Like he has some serious dirt on somebody or something.
No. Something that we don't know is the relationship between Kafka and Dayball.
Yeah.
We don't know if Dayball restricts him from some of the play calls that he would like to do. Maybe it's something that Dayball doesn't want that to be in the game plan, but he's like, I think this will work, and he's like, no, I don't want that at all. So it's happened before with coaches where they're restricted on what they... Now, perfect example, the Raiders defense, Patrick Graham. Before Josh McDaniels got fired, that defense was it was okay. It wasn't really anything special. It lost a lot of games. It gave up some leads. after Josh McDaniels got fired and Antonio Pierce took over, it seemed like the defense all of a sudden just changed. Like, it seemed like Graham was free of full creativity. Whatever you want to do, you do. And you notice that defense become impressively one of the top 15 defenses in the league. And I was scratching my head. I'm just like, wait, what just happened? Mm-hmm. How is this defense rated to be one of the better ones? I couldn't. And then I'm like, wait a second. Josh McDaniels gets fired, and Patrick Graham, all of a sudden the defense looks better. So same kind of thing could happen with certain guys that we tend to like, well, this guy's a terrible coordinator, which I understand. I get what you're saying with Kafka, and I've questioned his play calls and stuff sometimes, a lot of times actually. But maybe, just maybe, like if he does end up leaving and getting a different opportunity elsewhere where now it's no longer where you're being overseen by the offensive big shot. You know, now it's your time to shine. Maybe he does things differently, and you're like, where the hell was that in New York? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I've seen it happen to even my team where a coach leaves, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, we didn't run an aggressive linebacking core like that. Like, we didn't do any, like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. You know, so sometimes it does happen where certain guys are restricted because of the likes or dislikes that the head honcho has. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, so, I mean, it's possible. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe Kafka still sucks elsewhere. But, you know, there's some little minor details that we have no freaking clue, and then we kind of scratch our heads. Well, why did we let that guy go? Yeah. You know, well, you see him be successful elsewhere. So it's possible. We'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see how it all shakes
also
out.
now that too, if they've seen some of these head coaches or some of these defensive coordinators that have been let go by other teams too, maybe they're like, well, now this guy's available. Yeah, you know, maybe we'll get rid of Joe Barry and then him. Maybe we'll bring this guy in.
And that's the thing too.
I like that guy.
Yeah, look for Vic Fangio there too. Mm-hmm. They run a 3-4 system where Vic Fangio could come in and doesn't have to really change much. Already has the personnel there in place. Improve it a little bit and call your own defense because the guy's a brilliant D coordinator. If he wants to continue coaching, I feel like everybody should be calling this guy if you need help.
Mm-hmm. All right, now going from a fire back to a hire now. Brian Callahan in as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Now, what do you think about that one, Joe? Moving on from Vrabel, and now you've got Brian Callahan.
I think it's a great hire. I really do. I liked Brian Callahan before he even started to get hyped up because Brian Callahan was actually one of those. He had like those quarterback camps where he would help the young draftees, bring them in and train them and coach them up a little bit before they entered the draft, and did a phenomenal job with that. This guy's a quarterback guru. Guy works extremely well with them, and it's the perfect thing for Tennessee is because they got Will Levis. They drafted him last year. He played a little bit. He showed some promising plays, but now you pair him up with Brian Callahan, who's going to create this offense around Will Levis and coach him up and develop him even more. That I feel like Tennessee, like, who knows? If he takes to the coaching and Brian Callahan and him kind of kick it off and the chemistry's already there, like, the offense for Tennessee could look really dangerous next year. Like, they already have DeAndre Hopkins. Treylon Burks, if that guy could ever manage to stay freaking healthy, he might as well be on the Chargers roster because the guy's always injured. But if he can manage to stay healthy, they add a couple more, receivers in terms of talent. That offensive line dramatically needs to be improved. But if Callahan can kind of work his magic there and change some things up in Tennessee, we could be seeing an all-new Tennessee Titans next season. This offseason is critical to try to turn it around, and they do have a lot of needs, but I feel like Brian Callahan's the right man for the job, and he's going to spice up this offense that's been kind of stagnant. Where Derrick Henry, it's been hand the ball off to Derrick, hand the ball off to Derrick, and oh crap, it's 3rd and 2. Let's do play action now. Right. Like, you know what I mean? It's been so heavy run that, and they've had success doing it, but now it's time to change. It's time to get more modern, more creative of an offense. And now that you have Levis with the wheels that he has, and you able to upgrade some positions, I think this is an excellent hire for the Tennessee Titans.
Absolutely. And again, when you talk about, Derrick Henry, again, obviously saying goodbye to everybody. So he's moving on. So that's automatically going to change your offense because you have geared it around him. Finally, and it took them forever to figure that out too, Joe, because how many times do we tell them for multiple seasons, you got to give this guy the ball, and they finally freaking light bulb went off, too late. But yeah, that's what the one thing, like you said, kind of stagnant a little bit. Like, what is this offense? We know it's Derrick Henry, but when he's injured, like, what are you guys doing? So you go out and get like a DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, there you go. There's your number one. But he kind of seems like, again, like that was a head scratcher for me kind of too. Like, all right, yeah, they need a number one, so you're definitely going to get the target stuff, but it doesn't really fit. Like, what are you guys? And the defense is always played pretty decently for them and keep them in games, and you got Simmons there. But they needed that offense to get going. They need something different. And with this, Will Levis now has been doing fairly well with them, and I think a little bit more maturity. And then, working with Callahan, I think it's going to be great. And now they'll have their own identity. What will it be? We'll see. He saw when he was there. He was with the organization and the Bengals for a very long time. And now you get Joe Burrow in there too as well, and what he did with him too as well, circling it right through. If he could take off with Will Levis and get this offense going and get him a few more weapons, and like you said, Treylon Burks stay healthy and stuff, let's see an identity here and see what this team can do in this division, to where, again, I mean, this is going to be an exciting division to where it's going to be close. So, and I think all the teams are going to be decent. So, I mean, that's going to be exciting about this division because, they're all getting better, and when they face against each other, I mean, it's going to be crazy. So I'm not sure what the records might be. They might even be really close to 500 with how many times you guys play each other and beat each other up. But they're going to be all good teams, I think, moving forward. So I think it's going to be awesome for them. And in that same breath, Dan Pitcher now elevated up to the head coach.
I got an interesting story about Pitcher is taking over as the coordinator for the Bengals. It's interesting because of the timing, how quickly they promoted him. Because they were getting requests to interview him for offensive coordinator elsewhere. And they were like, we don't want to lose this guy. So no. You're our OC. We'll just sign the dotted line. We're going to keep you in here. Everybody knows you. You got that continuity going, and why mess it up? So gets an opportunity to prove himself as an OC, and we'll see. He's young. As a coach, he's kind of moved up the ranks pretty quickly. So doesn't have, this is going to be his big shot. So let's see what he can do this year. And I wonder, because now that Callahan's gone, the offense in terms of play calling is going to change a little bit because of whatever he likes to do or dislikes to do. I wonder how the relationship is between him and Joe Burrow, how tight it is, because
I think it's got to be tight, because if they tried so hard to make sure that he didn't leave and go on those other interviews, that they wanted to keep him.
Well, no, it didn't. He didn't have a chance to go. That's how quickly it happened. Like they were getting a couple of requests, and then they were like, "Hey, by the way, come in the office." You know what I mean? But my thing is like relationships are a big deal in this league. So Callahan had a phenomenal relationship with Joe Burrow. Now his counterpart, the assistant, is moving up. I'm hoping that he was heavily involved in the game planning and the day-to-day duties with Joe Burrow.
Well,
and
he
if
was
that's
quarterbacks
the case,
coach, so I mean,
and if that's
figured
the
that
case,
would make sense that that's why they kept him there.
But if that's the case, and he has a good rapport, because even though he's a quarterback coach, doesn't mean has good chemistry with Joe Burrow.
I mean, it makes sense why they wouldn't let him go, though. I mean, if it was even, we're not going to hear it maybe right now that Joe Burrow backed him the whole way, but who knows?
No, but my thing is it's a completely different thing. I think
that's why they didn't want him to go, because they didn't want to bring somebody else in and not have
outside.
It meld right. They wanted to keep this train rolling, because they just want Joe Burrow to stay healthy and they could just pick up where they left off. You know what I mean?
Hopefully. So, we'll see.
We hope, but I think that's why they did it. So that's some of the ones there. And then even finally, I just want to bring up this one because you were clamoring the whole season for it. And it finally happened at the end of the season, for God's sake, for nobody who knows why. Why not try it out at first through this season? Because your season kind of was a wash, even though you're technically in it still.
Yeah.
Pete Carmichael, Joe.
Yeah.
Pete Carmichael gone. as you know, their offensive coordinator.
About
so
time.
what's going to happen with the Saints here, and what's going to be some changes here that they're going to make here? Because Dennis Allen, obviously, defensive-minded coach here.
Yep.
So what's this offense going to look like and geared towards? And then Pete Carmichael, will he find another job somewhere else? What's that going to look like?
No, nobody hire that guy. Nobody's allowed to hire Pete Carmichael. Not even to be a wide receivers coach. Like nothing. That guy should not have a job, just like Josh McDaniels should not get a job again.
He has a worse approval rating than Biden does right now, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I'm sorry. Like, God awful coach, and for him to hold on to that job as long as he did is insane to me. So I don't think he's going to end up anywhere. Maybe a water boy. Maybe he'll end up being the water boy for some team, and that's what the rest of his career is going to be. But for the Saints going forward, they got to find some. This is what I can't stand when teams move on from a coordinator, and then they bring in another, experienced coordinator that's been around the league. That he's decent, but again, it's a retread. It's another way of just saying, hey,
they're going to bring in Matt Canada.
This is the safe choice. The safe choice is this guy's done it before.
Yeah.
We know his offense, what he likes to do. Let's bring him in and he can implement that. I really do enjoy when teams do their due diligence. Now, it's fine if you still end up with a guy like, let's just say, Cliff Kingsbury as an OC. Like, I understand he's experienced. He has experience as a head coach. He's knows how to call plays and everything and runs that kind of air raid type of offense. And that's all well and good. That's okay if you really do believe in him. But all too often we see our teams kind of like, oh, here we go again. We're going to bring in another guy that's been in the league for 10 years, and the offense hasn't evolved from 10 years ago. I like to see these up-and-coming hires. I like to see guys like a Zach Robinson, who's a passing game coordinator for the Rams. Apparently across the league, everybody's raving about this dude. And they're saying how impressive he is as an offensive mind. He deserves an OC job. Guys like that. I want to see guys like that get an opportunity, and let's see what you can do. Because those guys are the future. Like, if this guy is a promising OC, he ends up getting a job this year, let's see what he can do. The offenses constantly evolve, just like defenses do. But when you start to stick with the same repertoire of 15 years ago, like Vic Fangio, like as good as a DC as he is, nothing's really going to really evolve from his defense. It is what it is. And he's successful doing it, but at some point you're gonna go up against an offense where you just can't figure it out, like the Chiefs. The Chiefs managed to get the better of them, and Vic Fangio didn't have an answer. So I understand there's Dolphin fans out there that are going to be yelling, yeah, but we didn't have everybody healthy. I understand, but every team goes through it, right? But he still couldn't figure something out. Now you get a new up-and-coming coordinator, give him a shot, and who knows, you might be surprised on how good he is. That's what I like to see, is guys getting promoted and moving up. Brian Callahan, well-deserved getting the head coaching job in Tennessee. Love to see it. He deserves it. He's paid his dues, and now it's time to see what he can do as a head coach. Same thing going forward for any team looking for a coordinator. I just hope they don't settle and just take the safe guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. I want to bring up one last guy here, too, and then we'll just get into a little bit of the 4 remaining teams that are looking for the head coach and coaching spots.
Yes, sir.
Gerard Mayo. One of the first, he was
the first
head coach,
yeah.
To be an African American for the Patriots. So how about that? Something changing here for them, and a lot of people are for it, and even some people are against the whole thing. They don't get it. Even they were looking for that big splash. I think again when you had other names out there, Patriots fans especially. I think looking for the next Bill Belichick or whatever. They're like, Gerard Mayo, kind of like what? But
does anybody realize that Bill Belichick nobody wanted for a while? Like I feel like the Raiders when the Browns fired him, the Raiders put in a request to interview him, or not. When the Browns fired him, the Raiders wanted to interview him. They contacted Bill's agent and whatever, and they were going to set up an interview, and then he had an interview with the Patriots, right? He goes to the Patriots, and mind you, Bill just got fired. And everyone's going to be like, no way did Bill Belichick get fired. Yeah, he did. He didn't do that well in Cleveland.
Yep.
And he ends up choosing between...
He had other good coaches under his staff, too, on Cleveland, too.
He ended up choosing to go with the Patriots instead of even taking the interview with the Raiders. So he goes to Patriots, and the rest is kind of history. Mm-hmm. But Bill Belichick was one of these coaches where people were like, he's okay. He's all right. Like, he's a defensive guy, but that's not what we're looking for. But ended up taking the job with the Patriots. Obviously, Tom Brady's a big factor in this whole thing that he actually ended up drafting. But
and he replaced Pete Carroll there in New England too. You know what I mean? So that was different too. And if you look at it even too, some of the best coaches though has also been even fired too or just left before. I mean, look at the tuna here that we used to coach for the Giants, things like that.
Bill Parcells.
He was part of the Patriots too, and then moved on. And then he was part of the Dallas Cowboys and stuff and things that were. So they move around and things like that.
And everywhere he went, it's not like he wasn't a good coach. He was a good coach.
And Bill Belichick wasn't Bill Belichick until he became Bill Belichick. So I mean, and that's the way it is.
I'm sorry, but I'm telling you right now, if Tom Brady doesn't get selected by the Patriots.
Yeah, and they're stuck with Bledsoe or
right
whatever. Yeah, and they don't make it again. Yeah,
because let's just
they go to the draft.
Let's call a spade a spade. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, without Tom Brady running that offense is not going to be anything like it was. Mm-hmm. Like they're not going to be able to do what they were able to do. So a lot could have changed where they could have just still been a mediocre organization up to this point, but. Obviously, that's why they draft. That's why you have to find those gems. And if you're lucky enough to where you just kind of, sometimes a wing and a prayer on a draft pick, you're like, I hope this guy pans out. And then boom, like you hit. So it's like hitting the lottery.
The only thing, though, for me is with Gerard Mayo is I hope that he finds, again, a quarterback, somebody to get the quarterback situation fixed. Because, again, defense hasn't been a problem for that team. I thought defensively they did well.
No.
The offense, though, needs help. So whoever they bring in there as part of his coordinators, I think really needs to make a difference.
That's going to really fall onto who they have as OC. Mm-hmm. Gerard Mayo's defensive guy. Mm-hmm. He ran the defense, so he knows what he has there. He's not worried about that. Offensively, you're right. If you don't get the quarterback right, and because they pick third in the draft, what quarterback are you really looking to advance with? Mm-hmm. And I talked about this about wherever Bill goes. I feel like the same thing has to happen for Mayo. Is whatever OC or offense that you want to implement, it better be a new, creative, an evolving type of offense, the modern type of offense that we love to see. Mm-hmm. Guys like Mike McDaniels, is that part of like that evolution in offense? Kyle Shanahan, another guy who kind of changed the game a little bit. So you need to find that guy. Someone similar to them. You need to find the next up-and-coming guy like a Zach Robinson and bring him in and let them work. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's going to actually help you, more than just going back to your traditional ways of we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball again. And shit, it's third and long. We got to pass the ball, and we're punting.
Yeah, and that's what's funny too when you talk about that and you bring that up. Bill Belichick going to Atlanta again for another interview, and then now you're hearing too out of rumors that the possibility that McDaniels could join him there in Atlanta. If that happens, I think again it's like the old dog not learning terrible. Again, right? Isn't it? It's like
terrible,
because. Again, you could seriously see this happening where it's Josh McDaniels and look who's available again. Matt Patricia's available again. Oh, my goodness. Hey,
bring the game.
You know what I like to do. Come on, man. You come along with me. And then all of a sudden we got Patriots again.
Terrible.
4.0. The same old guys that haven't been able to get it done in the last couple of seasons. They're in Atlanta, and it could be a hot mess.
Yeah,
I think could be a hot mess for that division and even for Belichick, if he plans on going to Atlanta and making a difference, is who I think almost is secret arch nemesis, just because keep your friends close, your enemies closer. If Mike Vrabel takes the head coaching job for the Panthers and they're both in the same division,
it'd be amazing.
Wow.
We talk. Listen,
That would have spazz.
we
Joe.
talk about hot take, right?
Yes.
How big would that story be? Like, geez, Bill Belichick gets hired as Atlanta coach. Mike Vrabel falls in line. He's in the same division. They're going to face each other 2 times a year. This is going to be epic. They're going to make a point to have that game in prime time because of the storyline. It's the
they get
teacher
to do it twice a year. Yeah.
the teacher versus the student 2 times a year. Like they're going to eat that up. Media will love it.
Absolutely. And also if we'll say Vrabel has success. All of a sudden, Bryce Young has kind of turned it around or whatever. And, you know, they're drafting okay. Because, again, with these last 4 teams remaining, you know, and, again, I just brought up the Panthers, the Falcons. Who else is left? The Seahawks, which is interesting for me, and the Commanders. So there's still a bunch of different, they're all interviewing with all these teams. I think Vrabel in Seattle sounds real nice, but just to bring it back to the Panthers, if he can get things going here and get that offense going and beat Belichick again and do something here, that just adds up to his level. Again, it looks down on Belichick. Belichick's needles just starts to dip this way. And like you said, old dog needs to learn with this new times or whatever. You've already done the McDaniels. You've already done the Matt Patricias.
No.
Matt Patricia's tried in other different places, not worked out. McDaniels have moved to different places, not worked out. Try something else, something fresh, something new.
Yeah, bring in new talent, new younger talent in the coaching realm and give them a shot. Like they seem to be more of a go-getter type of coach. And guys that are hungry. Mm-hmm. Remember, Bill, when you used to be hungry? You were willing to do whatever it took as a coach. I'm not saying that he isn't now, but it's like when you're a young coach, you want to prove everybody wrong. You want to say, like, no, I'm right for this job, and I'm going to prove everybody wrong, and I'm going to go even further than that. I'm going to hold on to this job like my life depends on it, and no one's getting this opportunity but me. Mm-hmm. You need guys like that are super hungry, that want to prove everybody wrong, that want to make their players better, that want to make this organization better. And that's what Bill needs to get to. So wherever he ends up going, he needs to assemble a staff with the thought in mind that I can't do what I did in New England. I got to wipe the slate clean. I'm not going to bring Josh back. I'm not going to bring, Matt Patricia back. I'm going to look for an up-and-coming coordinator, a couple coordinators that can do the job, that know what they're doing, and fill the rest of the staff out with other, like you can get, instead of coordinators, you can get experienced staff, like experienced assistants, and that's fine. But your OCs, you want some new blood there. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just say that even happens, that would be an interesting take.
It would be funny.
Looking at these last 4 now, again, what do you think are the best fits with availability and the teams that are left over?
I mean, so for the Atlanta job, they've managed to, and they're still going to do more interviews.
Yeah, they're absolutely doing.
They've done.
Yes.
I think I see Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. I've always seen him every time there's a GM search or a coaching search. He's so methodical about this whole process. Like he interviews guys once, then he brings them back and interviews them twice, and everybody they have a long list that they go through 2 times with interviews, and then he makes his final decision after he gets everybody that he could for an interview. So Bill Belichick has already interviewed for his second interview. That's done. Jim Harbaugh was supposed to interview for his second interview. The flight got canceled, and right there and then, I knew that Harbaugh was going to go with the Chargers because they were prepared to bring him back over. And I think Atlanta, in their mind, it was like, well, we're going to bring Jim back, and he's going to be our guy. And then all of a sudden, Chargers like, no, don't get on the flight. Stay here. We got you. We're gonna get a deal done now. So that being said, they've managed to interview Ben Johnson, the OC of the Lions. They've interviewed the D coordinator for the Lions, Aaron Glenn, former player. And they've gone through very methodically and have interviewed a bunch of people. And now it looks like they're going back through and doing second interviews with everybody. They're waiting for Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to get their second interviews in. Apparently, from what I've heard, is the owner really wants Bill. The owner really wants Bill. He's like, I love this guy. We want him. He knows what he's doing. Because he's proven he's the safe pick, like we talk about.
Safe pick,
he's the safe pick.
The good old boy.
Yeah. And then you have the other side of the front office, and possibly the GM is like, whoa, wait a second. Yeah, I know you want Bill. I know you like him, but these guys are really good candidates. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, I guess, impressed the hell out of Atlanta when he had his first interview. So, and then you have guys like, there's other candidates that are out there that like a Cliff Kingsbury, but he's only being interviewed right now as an OC pretty much. I don't think anybody's going to give him a head coaching gig just yet until he proves himself again. But that's kind of really where it leads off is owner wants Bill Belichick really, really bad. But I feel like the other half of the front of the office is like, well, that's cool and all, but we kind of like these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we talk about, and this is kind of like going back to last week's conversation, is how long can Bill give you? How long is he going to continue to coach? 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5? Like, and then you got to start that process all over again. Do you really want to do that? Or do you want to coach for like 7 to 10 years? You know? Mm-hmm. So that could also be in the minds of the GM and maybe not the owner. The owner's looking at instant gratification. If we get Bill, I know we're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But for how long? Mm-hmm. So that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, and you even talk about, Ben Johnson. I mean, he's excited to meet with the Washington Commanders, too, and the new GM, Adam Peters here, where they grabbed him from San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So that could be a nice spot for him, though, too. But, again, for me, I'm just looking at it, the fact that you've already got Eric Bieniemy, there with those guys. And
for Washington,
kind of been there. It would be a nice fit for them. And he already knows the quarterbacks that they have now. And then I still feel like, again, with his offense, and he could maybe groom another guy if they decided to go in the draft and get a quarterback here for Washington.
Interesting thing about Eric Bieniemy, and you have all new ownership. Mm-hmm. So when new ownership came in, they already probably made the decision, like, we're going to get rid of Ron. Yeah. Like, it's time for Ron to go. Mm-hmm. We're going to move on from him. They made some crazy changes before trade deadline. They made some trades that were kind of surprising.
Yeah.
And that was their own decision. They didn't rely on the GM that was in-house or anything. They were just like, this is what we're doing. Washington is kind of like a little bit of an enigma to me, is because of the new ownership and how brash they went about making decisions quickly, not having any advisors, not having, anything like that, that with this coaching search, the guy that's right underneath their nose in Eric Bieniemy, it's like this guy has been talked about for the last 3 years about being a head coach somewhere. He left the Chiefs to prove to everybody, like, no, I can run an offense, just to prove to everybody I don't have training wheels. Mm-hmm. Like, I can go to Washington, I can run an offense. There are some people that are like, well, he went to Washington and look how that turned out. And I'm like, you got to realize, look at what he had to work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's made some tremendous play calls, and obviously Sam Howell has executed, and they come back and they won some games, and they've also lost some games. Mm-hmm. But I think Eric Bieniemy has proven to everybody that no, this guy's legit. He can call a game. He knows what he's doing, and he's right underneath your nose as a Washington front office. It's like, why are you trying to almost go out of your way to look for someone else? So the interesting thing about Bieniemy's situation is that if they don't hire him as a HC, which would be beyond me, and give him a shot, some other team is going to hire him as an OC again.
Right.
And there's plenty of teams that would probably bring him along.
Yeah.
Maybe Bill, if he gets the job in Atlanta, maybe he gets smart.
I think he would be smart to do that.
And brings over Bieniemy, mm-hmm. and I know that the Raiders are one of those teams that have tremendous interest in Bieniemy.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But they're still waiting to see, mm-hmm. like, should they put a request in? Is he going to get a head coaching job? What's going on? Mm-hmm. So there are teams that are interested in him to be OC, of course. But I'm just kind of surprised on a guy that's been touted as a head coach for the last 3 years or should get a shot at it. He's right there in your house. Just promote the guy,
Yeah,
make
see
him
what
the
you
HC,
think, yeah.
and then listen. The bottom thing is continuity, right?
Yeah.
We talk about continuity a lot, and it goes a long way. He's in your house. Hire him. He deserves to be a head coach. Give him that opportunity. Have him. They already have the scouts that have been there for years. Maybe they change him out or whatever, and have him build it in his vision, and let's see where you could take it. What's the harm in that? Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work, you give him a short contract. You give him like a 3-year deal.
Yep.
And maybe you can get out of it in 2 years if you're really upset with it.
Yep.
And just give him a shot, though. Like, he deserves it. It's time. It's time.
Yeah, I agree. Because, again, if they do, let him go look elsewhere, I really wouldn't be surprised, especially with Pete Carroll in the role that he is now with the Seattle Seahawks and saying, I can't believe this guy's out here. Why don't you guys go ahead and sign this guy?
Lip smack.
Yeah. I like this, and what that could even do for that offense. I mean, how amazing would that be? You know what I mean?
Right.
So getting that offense with
Right.
the weapons that they have, with a Bieniemy offense, I think it's just a great fit all around with some of the speed and then the strength that they have too on top of it. I think it would be great.
Another name that I want to bring up too that's getting a lot of interviews and interview requests is Raheem Morris, the D coordinator of the Rams too. Did a tremendous job this year with the young talent that he had, and he's getting noticed yet again for maybe another stint at head coach, rightfully so. But he's been one of those guys that have interviewed in Atlanta. He's interviewed in Carolina. He's kind of made his rounds a little bit, and I'm curious to see if he lands a job. We've also heard of Dan Quinn being one of those favorite candidates. He's also been to Atlanta. I think he took an interview to Carolina and Atlanta too.
Yes. Yeah.
One guy that I'm kind of surprised is up for a head coaching candidacy is Mike McDonald from the Ravens defense, the D coordinator there. I'm a little surprised that he really hasn't been requested, hasn't really taken a tour. And I understand you're in the playoffs and you're doing your thing, but we're not hearing anything about it. Now, maybe we'll hear it after that team is out of the playoffs, but it's just one of those things where I'm kind of perplexed, like why this guy isn't getting like a shot, because he's proven that he's one hell of a D coordinator and a good coach. The players love him. And it's like, this guy deserves to at least get an interview anyway. And we're not seeing that. So, but there is another name also in the hunt that's kind of taken a grand tour, is Bobby Slowick from Houston, the offensive coordinator for them.
Yep.
And a lot can be pinned on him. Like, hey, new OC, came in, did his thing with C.J. Stroud, kind of helped develop him as a rookie, and he's taking a grand tour. Like everybody wants to interview that guy. So he's making his rounds too. Everybody else though, there's a little bit of a laundry list of candidates that are out there, but none of these guys have really gotten interviews. So it seems like there's also a guy OC out of Tampa, Dave Canales.
Dave Canales. Yeah,
has done a tremendous job there with Baker in that offense. So he's taking a couple interviews. I think Atlanta is one of the ones that requested him to interview. Like I said, they're doing their due diligence. They're going crazy with interviews.
Yeah.
But that's another guy to maybe watch out for. Maybe he gets his. And what's unfortunate about that? Unfortunate is Byron Leftwich was the OC beforehand.
Before that.
And everybody said, "Oh, this guy's going to get a shot. This guy's going to get a shot." Never has, and probably never will
now. Yeah. Yeah, and Canales, I think, that's been great for them, and what he's done, I think, has been stupendous here. And
so,
the Baker Mayfield thing.
Bottom line, no shortage of candidates. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where some of these guys lie. I think best fits, I think, are what we already kind of even described. Just because I think, like, if Vrabel went to Seattle, I don't think it would work out. Just because, again, he had the power struggle with the owner in the last one. How much power is he going to be able to have there when all of a sudden when you walked away from Pete Carroll but left him in that office still to be part of operations?
Exactly.
Right? How is that going to work? You know what I mean? So
you talk about power. That's the other thing I'm kind of a little.
You don't know the power of the dark
Yeah,
side.
exactly. No, I do because I'm a Raider fan. But what I'll say is going back to the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh wants power. 2, it's not just the big contract and the 5-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much power they're going to give him on top of it, because we've seen this happen more times than not, where a guy comes in with a big coach, big time name, you know what I mean, a guy that's proven and everything, comes in, I want power. Okay, we'll give you a big time contract. You're going to have big time say with the as a GM and a head coach, and you got the tools at your trade. Yeah, we'll still have a GM in place to help you, but you get final call. Like, I wonder how much power they're going to give a guy like Jim Harbaugh, because he has a lot of star power already. And that's kind of like a thing where we've seen a lot of times, almost every single time, where when you wear 2 hats, you typically don't do well as a coach.
Well, that was part of the reason
you're
why he
stringed
was
and
out
thin.
in San Francisco, because they were the top of the crop. That team was great when
Before he
Harbaugh
left
was
the
there.
NFL.
Yeah. But the reason why he did, him and the GM didn't see eye to eye. I think
Which
that was
was
part of
funny.
a power struggle too, which was crazy.
weird.
It's like, why are you guys breaking this up? Because they were up here.
The
if they
GM
didn't win,
yeah.
that one Super Bowl, when that close one with his brother, the
Right.
Ravens, they were still there.
Yeah.
And it just, we heard the rumors and blah, blah, and it was that toxic within
ruined that
thing.
team.
That relationship was bad, and it ruined it for a bit until they got Shannon.
And the funny thing is the GM at the time and Jim Harbaugh were the best at their positions. Like they were seen as like these big time, big shots. Like the GM did a phenomenal job putting a roster together, and Harbaugh took that roster and made them winners. And when you broke up that thing, because they were bashing heads and everything, it's like, okay, now you just got rid of a good GM and you got to look for someone else. And now Jim Harbaugh's like, well, screw this. I'm going to college. You know what I mean? Like, it would just kind of ruined everything, all the momentum that you had. You wonder what could have happened. Could they have won a Super Bowl possibly by now? Probably. But we won't know the answer to that because of that poor relationship. And we talk about on the show a lot how important that is in the NFL. You'd be surprised, because a bad relationship, whether you have 2 good coaches or 2, like a good GM and a good head coach and they don't mesh, someone's got to go. In that case, both of them left. Both of them went.
Yep.
But
Oh, yeah.
it could ruin it too.
Right.
You don't have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't until they get John Lynch. And
Before we
then
move
everybody
on,
moves on.
there was one bit of news that I wanted to get to, is that Patrick Graham. We talked briefly about him earlier. Apparently, he's going for a second interview in Seattle. So, if that is to happen, another domino chip falls, another head coaching vacancy. If they really like Graham and they want to give him a shot at a head coach, then it's like a whole other thing. It's like now you're looking at D coordinator in the Raiders too, not just OC. It changes the whole game. So Graham, I think he deserves at least one shot. He's done a pretty good job in the NFL. Yeah, he's had his ups and downs as a coach, but I think the big catapult is the fact that this past year, what he had to deal with a roster defensively that really kind of didn't have any big names, and he was able to turn that into a pretty good defensive roster or defensive team.
Yeah.
That now he's getting possibly a
because
shot.
before it was just Mason Crosby Max Crosby, and who else? You know what I mean? Because again, if you pretty much were able to stop Max Crosby, you were good. But everybody else stepped up after that. Again, after the turnaround and getting
the one thing, and that's the other thing too, is like this is where we talk about coaches and making bad decisions and not getting the response that they want. Josh McDaniels again. This is where I think he held some personnel people back. Malcolm Kuntz has been on that roster since he got drafted. Once he left, he started playing a hell of a lot more, even starting. And you talk about you have Crosby. If you're able to block him, then no one else showing up. And all of a sudden, Kuntz was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the other side, he was getting sacks left and right, just like Crosby. And it was like, oh, geez, why wasn't this guy playing the whole year? Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, that could be it. Because Josh had his little favorites and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like bad coaching decisions turned into good ones after he got ousted. And Graham's like, oh, thank God, I can actually put this kid in now. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, it changes some things. So
yeah, well,
we'll see.
and also you can even bring up the fact that, and Antonio Pierce had been open and said it, you've seen on the broadcast, Robert Spillane being part of the offense.
A backup linebacker in Pittsburgh turned starter in Vegas, and they hit the jackpot. Mm-hmm. Like that guy, lunch pail guy, like no personality, bro. Yeah. I've seen press conferences with this guy. No personality. Like he's not animated like us or anything. He's like Bill Belichick as a player.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I tackled a ball guy, and I caught the ball on defense and ran for a touchdown. I did good, I think. Well, you know what I mean? Like wow, it's like he's just like robot, almost.
Maybe that's what because Antonio Pierce loves the dude, and he's like, I'm really my defense around this guy. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's what's great about him. So that's it. So maybe he just sees defense, and that's his whole world. Yep, he's just boom. You know what I mean?
And it's crazy. I think he had 4 picks as a linebacker this year. Mm-hmm. Like not known as a coverage guy, known as just like a run stuffing type of linebacker, but developed that part of his game too. So. Mm-hmm. Maybe Patrick Graham will get a shot at the Seattle job. Maybe.
All right, see. Yeah, absolutely. We'll follow these as we go throughout the last remaining weeks of the season here of the postseason until the Super Bowl. A few more weeks to go. The picks competition is just sealed up now, so
it's done.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have the Drink It Show right after the Super Bowl, so we get to have our reactions of the Super Bowl while having some adult beverages on top of it. So here's the overall right now so far. Stats and so Joe, here we are into the playoffs. There's the last remaining teams. We got the 49ers and the Lions, and then the Chiefs and the Ravens here. Ravens have been stellar all season long. They've been pretty much the team to beat. And they kind of again, when even though at one point people were really looking at the Dolphins and that offense and what they've been able to do, and in the meantime. The Ravens has just been steady and just, sticking through and winning. And the 49ers, I think even your man Debo Derek had said even too, really doing well, big winning streak at them. But then when, Brock had his tough days, they were quick to knock him down here and there. Right. But the defense stands up and again, they've got weapons everywhere. They did it. They got it done last week in a tough game against Green Bay. Came to play. Let me tell you, they really did. And that was a tight one right to the end. I had a chance that I thought that the Packers really had an opportunity to win that game.
They did.
And, it gave something for your 49ers to think about. So I think now that only helps them coming into this next game because they know not to look upon another opponent kind of right here, like the Lions, even though the winning record, what they have, they're still looked like that underdog, like Philly was playing before, a few years back. They feel like they're the underdog and they're the fighters, and that's how Dan Campbell tells them they are. You know what I mean? He's got them trained like nobody likes us, nobody wants us to be here. We're not expected to be here, but we're gonna be here, and whether they like it or not, we're gonna fight hard. So here we go. Let's get right into that game. What about the San Francisco 49ers and the Lions here in a tough one, NFC matchup? What do you got for this one, Joe?
It's funny because the Lions are limping into this game. They were kind of beat up last week. Jonah Jackson did not practice. Frank Ragnow did not practice. You saw how much pain that guy was in.
Oh my gosh! I was surprised he was playing last week.
I'll tell you right now because he told one of the sideline reporters, he's like, "There's no way I'm missing this game because this organization, the city, has been through so much. I'm going to literally break myself to get us to the next game." Yeah. I can't see how this guy's going to play this week. I just can't. Ankle, toe, knee, back, you name it. Everything is banged up. Everything's hurt.
Everything.
Just put him on. Just put him out there like a zombie. Like you just drug him up. All kidding aside, they are really banged up coming into this matchup. Alex Anzalone, limited. Looks like he's going to be just fine to play. Sam Laporta, I'm shocked that he played. I am shocked how bad that knee injury looked a couple weeks ago to now, or for last week. He looked like he didn't miss a beat. Catching the football, blocking, doing everything. So I'm sure that they shot him up with painkillers, and I'm sure they're going to have to do it again.
Right. 'Cause I feel like, again, he was doing a lot more blocking than receiving, but when he got out there, he was making, it's like when they need him to make the plays, like, listen, this was going to be you. We need you to make this play. He's like, I got this. All right, you're good. Boom.
One keynote is like their backup tight end, Brock Wright. He's on IR. So what do the Lions do? They're like, hey, who's on free agent wire? Zach Ertz, former Eagle, former Cardinal, veteran, has been in this situation before. They add him to the practice squad, and most likely before the game gets here, he's going to be elevated to the roster. Yep. They also grabbed another D lineman.
What a story for him, though, too, especially if the Lions can go.
Absolutely. And then Tyson Alualu, who's been around the league a few times, he was signed to the active roster from practice squad, looking for depth in that D line. So, and I'll tell you, Lions D line came to play last week. Like, they were after it. And they all kind of stepped their game up, all of them. Jared Goff, as much shit as that guy has taken from Detroit fans, from fans outside of the organization, like, this guy put on a clinic.
The media.
He put on a clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't, there was no weaknesses to his game in that game. Like, he lit it up.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he's had bad games.
Right.
But he didn't make any weak throws. He was decisive. He brought it. He brought the attitude. We don't see that from Goff too much.
Yeah.
But he really brought the attitude in the Detroit game, and look for that to continue because he's fired up. He wants to prove all the doubters wrong right now. He's like, you know what? We're not stopping here. Yeah, we won, but we're going after that 49er team now. Mm-hmm. So, big, tall order. You know? You said it. You said it. But, yeah, they're limping a little bit coming into this matchup. The Niners, on the other hand, very healthy across the board, which is kind of scary.
It is scary.
Like, not one key player is banged up. They're ready to go. So, honestly, like, this game is going to be a battle of wits. It's going to be a physical battle because both teams, regardless of how their offenses can score points quickly and all that, they're pretty physical football teams. Yeah. Both of them. So this is going to be a knockout, drag out type of a game where I don't think this is going to be as high scoring as people might think, whether you might be pro Niner or pro Lion. But this is going to be a really good game. I feel like it's going to be defensive. I feel like this game is going to be everything that we've seen so far in the playoffs, where it's just going to be close. It's who has the ball last type of thing. Like, that's what we're looking at. So I like this game. I really do. Jim, what do you think?
All right. So, yeah, I mean, you've said a whole lot on the whole thing. I think same situation, Joe. I mean, you got the Lions in an uphill battle against
the favorite is the Niners, clearly.
Absolutely. And I think they're going to win. That's why I'm picking to win this game. Yep. But I'm interested to see what the Lions come with. Again, Jared Goff. I remember back even when he was with the Rams. It was all like, Sean McVay's the whole thing of this. You're just a shell. You're nobody.
That's why you got
no
traded.
Identity.
You didn't have any trust in him.
Right. And, the fact that, still getting dogged by everybody and still performing at this kind of level, and you've got the city behind you. Whenever they panned to the fans, the Detroit fans of wherever location they were at even like a bar down the road from the thing, they're chanting Goff, 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 Goff. They're behind the team. They're behind Jared Goff. He's never seen something like this before. And when they're an outcast always by the media, by whatever, and you're finally accepted by people that have also kind of been the laughing stock of the NFL, minus the Giants and the Jets, the Lions were the laughing stock because how many 0-16 seasons have they had? It's been multiple. And so they've always been looked at kind of as that trash team. So they carry that underdog through this whole thing. Right. And Jared Goff has jumped right onto that bandwagon because he's like, you know what? I'm just like you as well. I'm carrying that burden as well. And ride with me, trust with me, and I'll take you, further than you've ever been. And he
Right.
has. But that being said, they've got this is a David and Goliath, straight up. David and Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, Goliath and Kyle Shanahan,
Right.
Debo Samuel, friggin'
it's ridiculous.
Everybody, man. It's
Their
not
team is
even
so
fair.
solid.
But the one key thing is pressure Brock Purdy because, again, he is Achilles, and you find that little thing. If you can hit him in that heel and just get that chink to shake him up a little bit, no matter if he has the weapons or not, he can make those mistakes. You saw it early on in that game last week where he's a little skittish, had to settle it down, but still has the balls to throw it where it needs to go and make the big plays like a couple they made to Brandon Ayuk where he had some great catches last week too.
Lions players, Jim is encouraging you to take him out.
Not take him out like that. No, rustle him or get him feeling the pressure because people want to talk about Jared Goff making mistakes when he feels pressure. Brock Purdy does the same thing as well. I mean, he's cool, calm, and collect, but he can make mistakes if you can pressure him a little bit there, just like any kind of quarterback, though. I mean, that's the story everybody tries to point. But that's the shot they have. Got to get the pass pressure in there. But I got 49ers in this one, Joe.
Yeah, and it's hard to pick against the Niners. I mean, honestly, like...
Especially when it's already rigged. They got the purple colors with the red colors of the logo, right? Everybody knows the script. We already know
That's so ridiculous. Somebody loved to really mess with fans. And they're like, hey, how can that... It's a setup. How can that be already posted? I'm like, you guys are fools to believe that. Anybody can Photoshop.
Yeah,
anything.
But what's funny, too, is I've seen even though I look the past 3 seasons, it's been this. They're like, look, the yellow and the orange, it was the Rams and the Bengals. And they're like pointing at a little bit of orange minus in this whole sea of red. So the logo 2 years ago was red and yellow and a little bit of orange where it faded from the yellow to the orange. They're like, see, orange of the Bengals. I'm like, what the hell are you smoking? And then the Eagles last year. Look, it's the Eagles and this and blah, blah. Look, the green. Dude, the color's teal, like the Miami Dolphins. And there's a little speck of green that might resemble the Eagles. So get out of here with your freaking nonsense.
Okay, Jim, you're going to be baffled by this, but I just looked at if they've ever been 0-16. And there's only 1 year, in 1942, where they were 0-11. Back then, they didn't have that many games. But there has never been, they've never had a 0-16 season.
Swear.
They've had
1-15's a bunch. I could swear they were at 0-16.
They've been 1-10 in 1946. They've been 2-10 in 48. There's never been
football reference.
Yep. There's never been a 0-16 team. They've always had a losing record for a lot of their thing. 2-14. In 1979, and that's it. They've never been over.
I could have swore there was 1 year, at least, maybe 2 in my life.
Yeah,
when they had Joey Harrington as their quarterback.
Nope.
And then
not in their history. But that's the stigma that they give you.
Yeah.
Is because you could only imagine, like, of course they've been 0-16, like 4 times in my lifetime. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's what it feels like. But they've just been a losing organization for the longest time. Haven't had a whole lot of success. I mean, you look at 1991. They were 12-4. Mm-hmm. They were, they lost in the conference. They lost in the conference final in 91. But really, they've had a lot of losing seasons. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's impressive to me when I looked at this and I'm like, yeah, they got to have 0-16 seasons.
I swear I could have thought, but man, that's wild.
Wait, nope. Yes, they did. Hold on.
They did.
I just found it.
Am I proven right now?
2008, they had 1-0-16 season.
Yeah, 2008.
But that's it.
One then. So yeah,
just
I did
one.
Recall one then. Who was the quarterback?
In 2008, that was Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky, our buddy.
Yeah.
Dan Orlovsky.
The guy that now talks shit about everybody.
Yeah, who knows everything. He's the guy.
This is the same guy that in a game he rolled out in the end zone and stepped out of bounds and got a safety.
Which he'll never live down. That's right, Joe.
We're still bringing it up, Dan.
So there you go. See? And yeah, like you said, down in 1942, they're 0-11 here.
Yeah.
So a couple offers then. So I would say I was correct in a sense. A couple of overs.
Not as bad as we thought.
Yeah, right?
Not
yeah,
as bad as we thought.
though. Yeah, but that's 2 over seasons. So, but yeah, it's going to be tough. You got the 49ers in this one, Joe?
I mean, how could you not?
Yeah,
I mean,
could you not? Right?
I'm sorry, Lions fans. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll go Lions.
There
Want to
you
know
go.
why? Because it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I know.
The
So why don't
competition
you
doesn't
just-
matter.
Okay.
I'm going Lions.
I tell you what, though. I'm going 49ers because I think that's really because I'm picking.
Yeah.
That's who I think
Yeah.
is probably going to take.
I
this.
really think that's
Will
what's
I be
gonna happen.
ecstatic if the Lions do? Hell yeah, because I like the story and I like the whole thing. I would like to
honestly-
see a city get
I
this.
honestly think it's going to be Niners easily.
Right, because
But,
on this sense.
however,
I really don't want another because we've seen the NBA constantly be whether whatever
Oh, one
LeBron's team
one,
is whatever the Nuggets
juggernaut,
or
yeah.
freaking the Golden State Warriors rather and
Right.
this and that nonstop whether it's a season or 2 behind another season comes back in and they're back here same thing we've seen San Francisco Baltimore before.
right.
We talked about last time when Harbaugh was the head coach. It was Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, Baltimore and,
Right.
and San Francisco. The Super Bowl when the lights went out.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, a whole different team happened. And all of a
That's
sudden, we
right.
got a game before that.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? San Francisco was kicking the shit out, and then also
Yeah, it was
Baltimore
like
came back.
one-sided. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it just came back. So I don't want to see that again. I'd rather see some new blood.
Well,
in
I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. That's why we've been watching the playoffs. Things have surprised us. I mean, think about it this way: Lions outperformed Green Bay, and it's hard to like kind of compare it that way because it doesn't really matter. But if the Lions were able to beat up Green Bay and Green Bay was be able to hang with the Niners, you could make the parity that the Lions have a better shot than people are going to probably give them credit for. I know there's a lot of Lions backers right now, bandwagon fans,
bandwagoners.
because they're like, hey, we don't want to see the Niners in the Super Bowl. We want to see, because Niners historically have been a winning team. But the Lions have a legitimate shot of possibly making the Super Bowl, which would be incredible. I think whatever happens, whatever team does represent the NFC, I feel like they both are going to give Baltimore a run. Now, when you say that as a Niners fan, you're like, yeah, but man, bro, they toasted us when we played them.
Yeah.
That Baltimore took it took them out the woodshed and beat them. But that was last time.
Yeah.
Bills
fans could tell you that, Joe.
Kyle Shanahan, is going to be better prepared for Baltimore and what they're going to try to do to him again. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's a whole other side.
Because it doesn't matter. Like we said with the Bills. Bills have beaten now the Chiefs in the regular season.
Yeah.
Postseason, no. Doesn't matter.
I mean, I got to bring it up. But the Raiders did beat the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And you know
It
who
happens.
also beat the Chiefs? The Detroit Lions.
Yep.
This season.
Yeah, that's right.
So
the first
imagine
game,
if
the first game of the
we
season.
do see a rematch with
That'd
the
be
Lions and the Chiefs. They got to already be telling themselves, we've already
Man.
beat these guys before.
All right.
And it's not on their home turf.
Yeah, right.
It's
All
even
right.
keel.
Let's jump into the Baltimore
So
one.
let's get into Baltimore and Kansas City. Again, I think a lot of people are against the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. They're kind of getting that. I think they were already getting that stigma, because again they're winning. They're getting there. They won again.
Yeah.
They're getting some lucky calls or some calls suspect with the refs.
Mm-hmm.
Dare we say again, dynasty or whatever. Got a great Hall of Fame head coach. Patriot-esque in a sense of the fact that they're here again.
I think
We're getting tired
different.
of, I'm just saying, there's a lot of parallels. Hall of Fame head coach, quarterback who they're already saying is the next greatest of
We'll
all
see.
time, along with,
We'll see.
Tom Brady. They've won 2 Super Bowls already. They're back again. Maybe they can get into another one. He whines and cries like a little bitch.
Yeah,
They don't like,
right.
Patrick Mahomes whines and cries when
literally-
he doesn't get the calls. A lot like Tom
he
Brady.
literally cries.
Yeah.
He
No,
literally
legit.
cries on the
Yeah.
sideline.
Yeah. So I'm just saying there's a lot of those parallels. So people are hating him. And now the Taylor Swift compounds on top of it. Giselle Bundchen, Tom Brady, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
There's too many things aligning. So people really don't want to see Kansas City here unless they are, Kansas City fans. That's the only ones
Right.
that do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll go a step further, and I think the biggest thing is, remember how you had you had a perception of the Dallas Cowboys and how they're treated and how they're viewed as, and like very pompous, nose up in the air
once
at
they
everybody.
Get there, all of a sudden, I feel like,
I feel like all the time. I feel like all the time, all through the season, they're like that.
Yeah.
You know, even into the playoffs, is they're like, oh, we show up and we should win no matter what. Like, you guys should bow down to us, type of thing.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are just like that right now. And people are going to be like,
it's no longer Arrowhead, it's the Kingdom, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like everyone's going to be like, oh, well, you're grasping at straws there. I don't think they're like that. No, think about how egotistical Patrick Mahomes is, Travis Kelce is. Whenever they come into a game, they're like, oh no, we're going to win. Oh no, they're not going to be able to stop us. We're going to win. And we're expected to win. In fact, Patrick Mahomes damn near came after a referee because he called a penalty against them, which deservedly so should have been called. And he thought so much of it like, oh, you stopped excellence. Like, you made that kind of comment? Like, are you kidding me? And then you not only blasted him in your press conference and everything else, and you acted like a spoiled brat. Like, okay, something didn't go your way, and it was legitimate. It's not like they screwed up the call. It was a legitimate penalty, and that's why you lost. Get over it. You think these other losing teams that get like 14 penalties a game and stuff, like, they got to deal with the same thing. Now that you got called, it's like, oh, the sky's falling.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like other fans, not Chief fans, but obviously other fans outside, are kind of getting irritated at this organization because of how they act, how they perceive themselves, and they're going into this matchup and they're saying, we took care of what we needed to take care of. We're going to go into Baltimore just like we went into Buffalo, and we're going to prove everybody that we're still the top dogs, and Baltimore's going to bow down. I don't see it happening that way.
Yeah. Yep.
This Ravens team, to me, and we talked about it halfway through the year, we said this team, they're not really being hyped up, but they're being talked about, but not hyped up like these other teams. And we're saying, this is the team you need to watch out for in the AFC. This is the team. We're going to see this week. I think this is going to be the clash of the Titans.
Yeah, I think so too, because, I mean, again, and I'm 100% on board with what you're saying, because even watching that quarterback show,
yeah, you're right.
I don't think it boded well for Mahomes at all, because, again, he is saying on one hand, when he gets sacked, whatever, he says something nice like, oh, good job, dog, because he wants them to like him.
Right. Yeah,
but then in the same breath, and it gets down to it, and he's trying to win the game, he pulls off a play. He's like, that's what I do.
Oh, yeah,
this is what I do. Yelling at you.
Oh,
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I am him.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
right.
blah.
Right. Yep.
A good game, dog. You guys lost now, so good game.
Yeah.
All right,
it's all good then.
It's good then.
It's all good then.
You know, but like, what did you just say 5 minutes to me? You know what I mean? I'm shit. You're the man. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right. Two-faced.
Yeah.
All right, all right, let's get back to the fact that here, the Kansas City Chiefs here face the Baltimore Ravens. This is the team. The Baltimore Ravens, they're tough. They got the head coach there, and they've got the grit. And Kansas City, again, it's a bit of an uphill battle because what key they got to stop. Everybody knows about it. Lamar Jackson, okay? Last week, everybody wants to give credit to what the Chiefs did, and they were able to win. And Chris Jones, where the frig was he the whole game, bro? He was getting locked. He was transparent.
Yeah.
He was gone.
Yeah.
I didn't even see this MFer. Dude, he was gone. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, all of a sudden he shows up and he made like one little bit of a play,
right.
and he's waving goodbye to everybody while he's throwing snowballs at him like you did something, bro.
And that's right there. Pause right there. That scenario where they're so egotistical that they are being complete assholes as players to build. And I understand you beat them, whatever.
Field goal, you're
but
pompous.
You're in Buffalo, right? You're in Buffalo, and you're just waving by the crowd to add salt to the wound, to insult them.
Yes.
And as a fan, it's like, obviously you'll get arrested if you jump down and try to take on these players or whatever, but it's like they're throwing snowballs at you, and you're just like, laughing in their faces, waving bye-bye. And it wasn't just him. Mahomes did the same thing. Travis Kelce did and was blowing kisses to the fans.
Oh, he did the heart thing.
Yeah, he did the heart thing and everything. And it's like, you guys are really complete assholes. You guys are not. You don't have any ounce of class at all as players or a team. So that's where it's rubbing everybody wrong. I'm sorry to jump in. I just had to.
No, it's quite all right. I totally agree with you.
But anyway, what I'll say.
As I was saying though too.
Yep.
again, Lamar Jackson, you got to stop him. That defense really did do a whole lot. You know what I mean? The Bills were able to run on them all day long. Mm-hmm. What do the Ravens do? They run. You got Gus Edwards. You got even
they run,
other people.
They pass.
You got him. Yeah.
And when
you
they
got
pass,
Odell Beckham Jr., you've got, multiple weapons here.
Unlike Josh Allen,
yes,
Lamar won't be afraid to just take off.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yes.
So, and he did the previous week. So, expect the uncertainty of the Ravens offense is going to create problems for this defense. And this team as a whole coming in, we talk about the Lions being injured. Man, oh man, the Chiefs have a laundry list of players that are hurt coming into this game, possibly not being able to play. I've heard that Trey Smith is in jeopardy of not playing. I've heard that Joe Thuney, their other guard, he's just not going to be able to play. He's not going to be a go. That's a big loss right there. You lose a top-notch offensive lineman like that, and Joe Thuney not going to be able to play. Willie Gay didn't play last week. Looks like he might be able to play this week, which will be good for them. But then you look at L'Jarius Sneed banged up with a calf. Mike Edwards, who suffered that big-time concussion last week, he's in jeopardy of missing the game. And then others like Sky Moore, it's Sky Moore, whatever. But other guys, other receivers, Rashee Rice pulled his hamstring in that game. He so far he's a full participant. He's going to play.
He's going to play, but he was playing hurt last week.
If it tweaks or anything like that, that's going to be a problem. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, he got that hard hit in the ribs, hit his oblique. It really kind of damaged it. If he takes another hard hit, you never know what's going to happen. So, and then obviously guys like Isaiah Pacheco, who was a big-time contributor last week, look for them to lean on him again. They're going to try to run the football. His ankle and toe, he didn't practice up to this point. So it's getting better is what they're saying. But, again, injuries and being banged up, you come into this game, like you better be ready to fight through the pain and try to play. This is the big game. You got to get past this one to get a Super Bowl. So Chiefs are a little bit more banged up. Now the Baltimore Ravens, they're coming in. Not only are they coming in dangerous, they're coming in pretty darn healthy. The only guy that they were missing last week was Marlon Humphrey.
Yep.
And right now, it looks like he's on pace to play because he had a limited practice. They're going to probably rest him the rest of the week and take it easy on him, and he'll be ready to go. And the return of none other than Mark motherfucking Andrews. That guy is now a full participant. He is definitely coming back. And now it's like you thought Isaiah likely was a problem.
Yeah.
Now you got to deal with maybe both of them, maybe one or the other. They got everything at their disposal right now. They are running on all cylinders, and they can put the feather in their cap saying, hey, we took out the Niners. We're going to take you guys out just like we did San Francisco. So,
yeah,
we'll wait and see. I think this is going to be an amazing matchup. I have to go with Baltimore because I can't pick the Chiefs.
Yes, I'm going to go with Baltimore as well. Again, just because we talk about defense wins championships and blah, blah, blah. These guys have the number 1 ranked defense, the number 4th ranked offense, which is scary as hell. Number 1 on turnovers on the defense.
You're right.
Number 1, in interceptions. So Lamar's played clean. This is the cleanest he has ever played before in his
best
lifetime.
Season he's had.
Rushing the ball first, you know what I'm saying? It's just
everything.
Outstanding.
Deservedly so the MVP.
On
hands
all
down.
phases of the game, this team is overall the best.
Yes.
So looking forward, I just, again, hope they don't get the jitters here and going in.
They won't. They've been here before.
KC here. They've got it all. I'm going with the Ravens on this one. And let's go. Let's hope for a Ravens-Lions game, and then let's see what happens.
That'd be different. That'd be different.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. I would be down with that. But if we end up getting 49ers-Ravens again, yes. And I just don't want to see the Chiefs here again, even though my son would like it. But he's one of those bandwagoner fans, though. Let's just say it. He might not admit it, but he is. You know what I mean?
Patrick Mahomes got to him.
Yeah, because they're winning now. Just like all the younger kids see whatever team's winning, I like them now. So.
I mean, I get it as a kid growing up. You don't want to pick a loser.
Yeah, no,
you know
I get
it. I understand.
But I know that he doesn't even follow it enough. He'll know some of the guys that are on the team, though. But again, be like, I heard where they're saying this about this. He'll be just as much as follow the clickbait.
Yeah.
This is happening
He should
here.
be watching our show.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you know what you're talking about.
He should learn from us.
I know.
Come on.
Kids, that time they just don't listen to their fathers.
I
Then
think
they
we're
get
gonna-
older. I'm like, my father told
Jim,
me.
we're gonna have to start doing football classes for the youth. I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely,
We're gonna
absolutely.
teach
Joe.
them a few things.
All right, so again, there you go. There's our picks. We
sir.
hope for a great championship weekend.
Enjoy, everybody, and I'll just say this: stay safe. Have tremendous playoff parties if you guys do that out there.
Go to a playoff party.
It's a lot of fun, even if you're not a fan of any of the teams. Like, it's just fun to go and talk football and have a good time. Cheer on whatever team you want to cheer on. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Oh, the clothing apparel that we just got connected to.
Yes.
The Underdogs.
Yes.
If you will. Their motto is all about being the underdog. That's what we feel like as our show.
There's the
and
promo code right there. Know
right.
it all. So when you go to checkout, go to
Enter
Long
that.
Shot Athletics.
Yeah,
I've
enter
got
that.
a couple of their clothing.
Get percentage off, and have their clothing is actually pretty dope. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Definitely go check them out. Also, Raise Energy. They keep us awake at night to give you guys the most energetic show there is.
Yes, I've even tried others and stuff like that. Again, I always go back to Raise.
No.
It's just like they just don't do it.
They're standalone.
Yes.
You got to try them out. Enter our promo code. Raise them up. Go on their website repsports.com.
Save yourself some cash
and save some moolah there.
Get
Great
that energy
stuff.
that you need,
Highly
too.
recommend getting it. Listen, you don't crash after it wears off, nothing like that, and it's got a lot of vitamins and stuff in it. Great stuff. Made in the USA. By USA. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. Listen, if you're new to the show, or if you want to do us a huge favor, spread the word. Have everybody head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit the share it all over the place. We love you guys so much. Thanks so much for the support. And also, you can take us with you anywhere you go for your podcast. iTunes, Spotify, you name it. Drop a follow there. Take us with you. Show all your friends. That's what this is about. We're trying to grow. We're trying to reach out. So we need your help to do so. We need your help to grow. Thank you guys so much.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.